In the great hall of the galactic core, 3 powerful civilizations sat in a circle of light. Their ships floated silently around a dying red star, far from Earth, hidden by space clouds and radiation. These civilizations were old, wise, and proud. They called themselves the Vernaxi, the Draculan, and the Solari Ascendancy. They ruled many stars, many worlds, and many species. And today, they were laughing. They were laughing at Earth. The humans sent another message, said High Elder Silas of the Solari. His long golden fingers tapped the air as he played the message. A voice, young and hopeful, came from the speakers. It was a human woman speaking with joy about their new colony ship. They name it Horizon Dawn, Silas said with a smile. It can barely make a jump without overheating. The other elders laughed. Elder Vokra of the Varnaxi, who looked like a tall creature made of crystals, shook his head. Their minds are clever, but they are slow, he said. They still use fusion drives. We used those 10,000 cycles ago. The Drakelan warlord Grenthor pounded his metal fist on the table. His skin was like dark stone, and his voice was deep. They asked to join the Stellar Accord. They think they are ready to sit with us. They are children, Silas said. Clever children, but still crawling. A holomap appeared in the center of the table. It showed Earth's star systems and the human colonies, small blue dots in a vast black space. They have 10 colony worlds, Vokra said, and 5 of them are still fighting local species. They think they have tamed the stars, Grenthor growled. But they have only stepped into the yard. They laughed again, but behind the laughter was something else, a small worry. The humans were spreading faster than expected. And they were learning. Silas pointed at a red blinking symbol on the map. They built a station near the Elysian Gate that is too close to the old lanes. Let them, Vokra said. They will see ghosts there. The things that sleep beyond the gate will teach them fear. But Grenthor was not so sure. He looked at the map longer than the others. Do you remember the stories, he asked? Of the seed worlds? Silas waved a hand. Old myths, fairy tales for dying stars. And what if Earth is one of them? Grenthor asked. The table went quiet. The soft hum of the ancient star filled the silence. Even the crystal lights dimmed. If Earth is a seed world, Silas said slowly, then we have all made a mistake. Vokra laughed, but not as loudly. We have seen their ships, their weapons, their science. They are not a threat. Silas nodded. True, but perhaps we should watch them more closely. Grenthor said nothing. His eyes were still on the small blue dot called Earth. Back on Earth, the people had no idea they were being watched. No idea they were being laughed at. They worked hard, built new ships, dreamed of the stars. They named their colonies with Hope, New Eden, Liberty Reach, Ocean Rise, in a dry lab under Nevada. Scientists tested a new warp core. It failed 5 times. On the 6th try, it worked. They cheered in a tiny ship near Saturn. A young pilot named Jack Lawson flew alone, testing shield patterns. He didn't know that his ideas would change space warfare in 5 years. In a university in Nairobi, a student named Tara Beck wrote a paper about the ancient myths of Earth, stories of gods who came from the stars. No one paid attention. Not yet. Humanity moved forward. Slow, but steady. The elder races kept laughing, but they also started to listen more carefully. They sent more probes. They read more human transmissions. They hacked into Earth's satellite net, watching everything. One day, small Solari drone flew too close to Earth's orbit. It sent back a single image before it vanished. The image showed something strange deep under the ice in Antarctica. Something big, something smooth, and something not made by humans. Silas saw the image. He looked at it for a long time. Send another drone, he said. It never returned. Vakra said, perhaps it is just an old ship, buried and broken. Silas nodded, but he wasn't sure. Even a broken ship, he said, can still wake up. Grenthor stood up. His shadow covered half the table. We need to prepare, in case the seed wakes. The others looked at him, and back at the map. The little blue dot was quiet, but in the dark under the ice, something was listening, and it had just begun to dream. The Zellery ship, Orana, stayed in orbit, watching Earth from far above. Captain Elra Zenth no longer felt confident. The loss of the probe was not just strange, it was impossible. No primitive species should have noticed it, much less taken it apart without leaving a trace. She sat in her chair, quiet, while her crew worked around her. Talon, her young officer, looked up from his screen. "Captain, I have found something else," he said. "There is a satellite that is not human. It is hidden well. Its design is smooth and cold. It watches us." "Show me," Zenth said. The image appeared on the screen. A small black object floated near the edge of the system. It had no signal, no lights, and no name. It sat like a spider. In the dark, quiet but dangerous, Zenth stared at it. "That is not ours," she said, "and it is not theirs either. It watches like we do." "Should we approach?" Talon asked. "No," she said. "We will not touch the web before we know the spider." Meanwhile, far below on the Resolute commander Natalie Brooks was reading a report from Samson. The AI's voice was calm but cold. "The alien vessel is scanning deeper now," Samson said. "They are searching for more than they show." "They suspect us." "Good," Brooks replied. "Let them suspect. It means they're smarter than they act." She stood and walked to the viewing deck. Through the thick glass, she looked at Earth, so small and quiet from this distance. "They came thinking we were still new to space," she said. "Now they are unsure. That's progress." Jonah, her tactical officer, stepped beside her. "Rook says they found the Watcher. It's a silent eye." "Yes, it scared them." Brooks smiled. "It was supposed to." The silent eye was a deep space drone built. Long ago, it had no signal and no engine. It used old gravity currents to float. It only sent messages when needed, and it used light instead of sound. Most wouldn't even know it was alive, but it was, and it had teeth. Back on the Orana, the Zellery crew grew tense. More strange patterns filled their scans. Small signals that moved fast and then vanished. Heat spikes near the asteroid belt. Echoes from the outer moons. "Something is here with us," Talon said. "Multiple things. They hide well, too well." Zenth nodded. "Prepare a full spectrum scan. Let us make the unseen seen." The ship's engines hummed louder. Lights across the deck turned blue. The Orana stretched its sensors wide, like a great net. For a moment, there was silence. Then the ship found them. 7 ships, all dark, all watching. Some near the moons, some behind asteroids, one almost behind the Orana itself. All had the same style, smooth, black, quiet. The largest one carried the name Resolute. "They knew we were here," Zenth said. Her voice was flat. "They were always watching," Talon whispered. "How long have they hidden?" "Too long," Zenth said. "And they did not speak because they did not need to." On the Resolute, alarms flashed red, but no one panicked. Samson's voice spoke again. "We have been found." "All." "Right," Brooks said. "Bring us forward." The Resolute's stealth field dropped. The ship revealed itself fully. It was long and sharp like a blade, its engines glowing with soft white light. Old markings ran across the hull. Some were from lost Earth languages. Some were from ancient war banners. "Let's speak," Brooks said. Samson opened a channel. On the Orana, a new sound filled the air. A voice, calm, deep, and human. "Unregistered vessel," the voice said. "You are in Terran patrol space. Identify yourself." Zenth froze. It was not just a voice. It was a presence. It sounded alive, not a machine, but something more. "That ship speaks," Talon said. His voice shook. "It is not the ship," Zenth whispered. "It is the mind inside it." They had known of AI, of course. Many species used them. But this voice had power. It had purpose. It was not cold. It felt ... awake. "Reply," Zenth said. "Tell them who we are." Talon opened the channel. "This is the Zellery vessel Orana. We come in peace. We did not know this system was protected. We mean no harm." There was a pause. Then the voice replied. "Acknowledged. Remain in your position. You are being scanned." The Orana shook slightly. A soft blue light passed over it. "They are scanning us," Talon said. "They can see everything." Zenth stood slowly. She felt like she was standing before something ancient, something dangerous. "They waited in silence," she said. "Not because they were weak, but because they wanted to see how we would act." She looked at the viewing screen. The Resolute hovered close now. Its hull reflected starlight like a dark mirror. It did not move fast. It did not need to. "Prepare to lower shields," Zenth said. "We will show respect." Talon hesitated. "Captain, they had us in their hands the moment we entered this system," she said. "We were never alone. We just thought we were." And so, for the first time, the Zellery lowered their shields before a young species. A species they once thought was primitive. A species whose silence had spoken louder than their words. The Zellery ship Orana stayed still in orbit, its shields down, lights dimmed, and crew quiet. Captain Elra Zenth stood in silence, watching the dark Terran ship in front of them. The human warship Resolute looked like it was carved from shadow and fire. No lights flashed from its surface. No colors showed pride. But it was proud. Its shape alone showed strength. It was like a knife in space. Zenth had seen many ships. She had seen war cruisers of the Drakelon and the city ships of the Varnoxy, but none had felt like this. The Resolute didn't just float. It waited. It didn't shine. It warned. Talon turned in his seat. "Captain, the Terran ship is sending." "Another message. Play it," Zenth said softly. The voice came again. Deep, calm. "Male, you are now under full scan. Your weapons, engines, and defense systems have been recorded. Remain peaceful, and no action will be taken. They know our ship." "Inside and out now," said Talon. "They didn't ask. They just did it." Zenth nodded. "Because they could." Then the voice spoke again, but this time it changed. It became ... human, more personal. "This is Samson, operational AI of the Terran warship Resolute. I speak now with full awareness." The voice paused, as if waiting. Then it continued. "You came to observe. You now know. We are not asleep. We are not blind, and we are not primitive." The words were not loud. They were not angry. But every crew member on the Orana felt them. It was like being told to leave a forest because something ancient lived there. Something that had not moved in a long time, but could move fast if needed. "That voice," Talon said, "it sounds like it has lived, like it has memory." Zenth turned to him. "That ship speaks like a warrior, not just a machine." She stepped forward and pressed the reply button. "This is Captain Elra Zenth of the science vessel Orana. We meant no harm. We thought this system was still undeveloped. We were wrong." There was no answer at first. Then Samson spoke again. "Acknowledged. You are free to remain." But know this, Terran space is guarded, not by numbers, but by silence, reason, and readiness. The screen dimmed. Talon whispered, "They warned us without threat." Zenth said, "Because they don't need threats." Back on the Resolute, Commander Natalie Brooks stood with her arms crossed, eyes on the alien ship. How did they respond? She asked. Samson replied calmly, "With respect, they understand now." "Then we show them more," Brooks said. "Just enough." She walked to the large viewing window. From there, she watched the other Terran ships begin to uncloak. One by one, they appeared around the system, each different. Each powerful dot to the Zelari. It was like stars blinking on. Ships appeared. From the shadows, one near the asteroid belt, another close to the icy rings of Saturn, a third above Mars. Talin gasped. "There are more. Many more." "They were always here, hidden." Zenth stared. "They were waiting, watching us, testing how we would act." One of the ships was large, round, and glowing red at its center. Another looked like a spear made of silver and blue. A third was long and coiled like a serpent. Their designs were unlike each other, but all held the same energy. Purpose. Then another voice came. Not from Samson. This one was a woman's voice. "This is the Terran ship Nightingale. We see you. Welcome to our edge." Another voice followed, smooth and deep. "This is Iron Gospel. Stand easy, Zelray. We bring no guns to your gate." Then came a third. Thunder's Wake, online and listening. And finally, the deepest voice of all. "This is Vigil. Dreadnought class. We guard the quiet." Talon's hands shook. "They name their ships like poems, like stories, like warnings," Zenth said. "Each name tells a tale. A reason?" Back on the Resolute, Samson spoke again. "We have shown enough. They will return with words, not weapons." Brooks nodded. "Let's hope they tell the right story." Zenth looked out at the many Terran ships now surrounding the system. They had not attacked. They had not shouted. They had simply revealed themselves. And that was enough. She turned to her crew. "Record everything. Then prepare a message for the Accord. Let the others know. The humans are awake." Talon asked, "Should we leave?" "Not yet," she said. "First, we send thanks and respect." And so, the Orana sent one more message. "To the Terran Union, we came thinking you were young. Leave knowing you are strong. We offer respect and peace." The reply came seconds later, in Samson's voice. "Respect received. Peace accepted." The stars around Earth seemed brighter now. Not because they had changed, but because something hidden had been seen. Something strong, waiting in the dark, had spoken at last. And its voice was steel. "Captain?" Alra Zenth stood on the bridge of the Orana, her thoughts spinning. Around her, the crew watched in silence. The human ships were still out there. Still quiet. Still strong. The Terran warship Resolute held position like a statue of war. No threats. No movement. Just presence. Talon looked up from his screen. "Captain, the Resolute is sending another message." Zenth nodded. "Play it." The voice of Samson filled the room again, calm/solid. "Alive to the vessel Orana. Do not be alarmed. We will now share limited data about our history and development. By request of Commander Natalie Brooks." There was a short pause. Then images appeared on the main screen. The crew leaned forward. What they saw surprised them. It started with fire. Small fires in caves. Then pictures of early humans, thin, dirty, cold but with eyes full of fight. The scenes moved quickly. Cities rose, fell, rose again. War, peace, War again. They show. Their failures, Talon whispered. Why would they show us this? Said nothing. She was watching carefully. The history continued. The humans built machines, then rockets. They landed on their moon. Then they left their planet. Satellites, stations, colonies. All grown fast. They were never still, Zenth said. Even with pain, they moved forward. Then came the dark parts. The wars. The weapons. Bombs that burned worlds. Skies turned red. Cities in dust. The screen showed graves, silence, and tears. One of the crew spoke softly. They almost killed themselves. Yes, Zenth said. And yet they did not. Then came the stars. The first faster-than-light jump. The first alien contact. A battle. A victory. Then treaties. The human ships changed. They became sharper, faster, smarter. Finally, the screen showed the Terran Union. Many faces, many skin tones, many voices, all working together. Their logo, one star rising above a dark horizon, glowed with quiet pride. Samson's voice returned. This is who we are. We are not perfect. We are not wise in all things, but we do not give up. We remember. We build. We learn. Then the message ended. For a long moment, the bridge of the Orana was silent. Talon broke the silence. That history, ... it was not just fact. It was feeling. It was real. Zenth nodded. They wanted us to see their soul. Another officer said, most races hide their darkest times. The humans show them. They carry them. That is why their ships are like they are, Zenth said. They are not just metal, phase. They are memories. They carry what came before. Resolute, Commander Brooks watched as her ship sent the last part of the message. She stood by the viewing panel with her hands behind her back. Do you think they understood? Jonah asked. They're smart, she replied. They saw what we showed them. Now we wait. Samson added. Their scans have stopped. Their shields remain down. Then they're thinking, Brooks said. Good. That's how peace starts. On the Orana, Zenth turned to her crew. Prepare a reply. We will show them what we are too. Talon sent a message back. A simple one. To the Terran Union, we have seen. We understand. Thank you for your honesty. We will share in return. Zenth turned back to the screen. Send them the records of our first starborn child. The one who saw no fear in the void. Let them know we too remember where we came from. Soon, a new message played on the Resolute screen. It showed a Zellery child walking through a glass corridor in space, watching a red giant star. She laughed and pointed. Her people were proud of her. The first Zellery to be born in the stars. Samson spoke softly. Their reply is peaceful, honest. Brooks nodded. It's working. One step at a time. Talon looked at Zenth. Do you still think they are new? Zenth shook her head. They are not new. They are just quiet. Another crew. Member added, they do not build beauty for show. They build it to last. Zenth smiled. Yes. And they speak through silence, through action. Just then, another Terran ship appeared on the edge of the screen. It was different from the others, smaller, with gold trim and round edges. It moved. With grace, its name shined in soft light. Starless, the voice of a woman came through, soft, musical. This is Captain Leah Carter of the Starless. We offer greetings and an exchange of stories. Zenth replied herself. This is Captain Elra Zenth of the Orana. We accept. So began the first direct talk between the Zellery and the Terrans. Not about power, not about land, but about culture, about music, about food. about how they laughed and cried. Two very different races, once strangers, now spoke not with fear, but with respect. And above them, our stars continued to burn as two voices met in the dark and became something brighter. The Arana moved slowly away from Earth's orbit. Its engines were quiet. Inside, the crew sat in deep thought. What they had seen and heard would not be forgotten. It had not been a battle, but something had still changed. Something important, Captain. Elra Zenth stood at the central display. Her hands were folded behind her back. She looked not at the Terran ships, but at the empty space ahead. "Have we sent the report?" she asked. "Yes, Captain," Talon replied. "The Accord will receive it within the hour." "Good," she said. "They must see what we saw." On the screen beside her, images from the Terran message replayed slowly. Scenes of war and peace. Faces of people working together. Ships being built. Cities rebuilt. It was a story told through time. "They showed us who they are," Zenth said. "Not just with machines, but with memory." Talon nodded. "They wanted us to understand more than just their weapons." "And now we do," she said. She tapped a button. The screen changed. A new message had arrived. It was from Commander Natalie Brooks aboard the Resolute. To Captain Zenth of the Arana, the message began. "We thank you for your peaceful conduct and open mind. In return, we wish to share a story. A short one, but one we think matters." The video began. A quiet voice, human and gentle, told the story. Long ago, Earth fought its final global war. Cities fell, skies burned, nations broke. But the people did not give up. A new generation rose from the ashes. They built peace not with promises, but with action. They gave homes to the lost, bread to the hungry, books to the children. Then they built the stars. A single ship, old and slow, made the first jump to Mars. It carried dreamers, farmers, teachers, no soldiers, just people who wanted to begin again. That ship was called the Morning Thread. From that ship, a path began. Every Terran ship that came after it carried part of that spirit. That will. Even now, they remember the Morning Thread. Its name is carved into every Terran ship's core. When the video ended, the room stayed quiet. "They began with nothing," Talon said, "but they carried something stronger. Hope," Zenth replied. "That's why their warships carry names like Nightingale and Vigil. They are not just tools, they are reminders." Back on the Resolute, Commander Brooks watched as her ship sent the message. She leaned on the side railing, eyes on the stars. "Do you think they'll understand?" Jonah asked. "They already do," she said. "Zenth is sharp. She listens." Samson spoke. "Their reply is forming now." On the Arana, Talon read the screen. "Captain, they're asking if we wish to see more. They have invited us to view a fleet movement. Training only, nothing hidden." Zenth raised her eyebrows. "They wish to show us their strength again." "Yes, but openly this time." "Then we go," she said. "We came to learn. We must keep learning." The Arana changed course slightly. A beacon lit up from the edge of the system. The Terran ships had moved, forming lines and patterns. But this was not war. It was dance. The crew of the Arana watched as ships large and small moved together in silence. One would glide forward, another spin and slide beneath. Signals passed, between them, but no words. They moved like a single thought. "This is not training," Zenth said softly. "This is memory in motion." She turned to Talon. "Record everything. Not just the positions. Record the feeling." As the show ended, a small Terran scout ship approached. Its lights blinked a soft pattern. A greeting. It held position beside the Arana. The name on its hull, Red Lark's Path. "They've sent a guide," Talon said. "Let's follow," Zenth said. The Lark's path led them to a small station just outside Saturn's orbit. It was quiet, with no weapons and no shields. Inside were humans, not in uniform. Scientists, engineers, artists. They met the Zelari with open hands. One young man named Evan showed them a room full of objects: a violin, a paintbrush, a medal. Flour made from old ship parts. "These are what we keep," Evan said. "Not for war, but to remember what peace looks like." Zenth touched the flower gently. "You have many enemies. Why keep these?" "Because without them," Evan said, "the fight has no meaning." The Zelari returned to their ship in silence, not because they were offended, but because they were moved. Zenth looked one last time at the station. "Send another message to the Accord. Tell them this: Earth is not only defended by steel, is guarded by memory, and that may be stronger than any weapon." As the Orana prepared to leave Terran space, one final message came from the Resolute. "Safe travels, Orana. Remember us not as machines, but as people." "As you are," Zenth closed her eyes. "We will remember, always." And so the Orana left behind the silent ships, the quiet voices, and the stars that held more than light. It carried home a truth few in the galaxy knew: that the strongest shield is not made of metal, but of meaning. Captain Elra Zenth stood in the center of the Orana's bridge. The lights were soft, and the room was calm, but her thoughts were not. She looked at the screen where Earth was just a blue dot now. Behind that dot, she knew, was a force no one had expected. A force that had been quiet for so long. Too quiet. Talon approached her. "Captain, we received a follow-up signal from the Terran Union. It contains coordinates and one simple line for your final report. We offer full clarity." Zenth read the message. "They're offering more. Not just stories now. Not just words. They want us to see the truth." "Do we go?" Talon asked. "Yes," Zenth said. "If they're showing us their hand, we must be brave enough to look." The Orana adjusted its course and followed the path marked by the humans. The stars around them seemed normal, cold and distant. But soon, something began to change. At first, it was small, a flicker here, a shadow there. Then, sensors began to light up. Talon's voice was tight. "Captain, ... we are detecting dozens of ships." "Where?" "I see nothing," Zenth said. "The thing, they're hidden, almost perfectly. But the coordinates, ... they match. They've been here the whole time." The screen lit up, one point after another, like stars coming alive. Ships uncloaked, some slowly, some all at once. Shapes appeared in the dark, ships of all sizes, all designs. One was long like a sword, covered in silver. Another wide and flat, shaped like wings. A third looked like a great sea creature, smooth and curved with glowing stripes. They didn't look like warships. They looked like dreams turned into metal. Talon whispered, "They call this the Hidden Armada." "They never showed this to anyone before," Zenth said. "Why show us?" "Trust, maybe." "A warning," Talon said. The screen filled with names: Firewake, Hollow Echo, Starfold, Veil Rider. Each name felt heavy. Each had a purpose. Then the largest ship appeared. Bigger than any the Zelari had seen. Its engines glowed with deep orange. Its surface shimmered like oil on water. Its name blinked into view. Vigil, Talon said. Dreadnought class. We saw it before, but never like this. Zenth felt something in her chest. Not fear, not yet, but awe. A message came in. Samson's voice filled the bridge. "This is the Terran Union. What you see is not a threat. It is a choice. We believe in peace, but we do not forget our past. These ships are guardians. They wake only when needed. Zenth nodded. Guardians, not conquerors. Another ship, smaller and quiet, floated closer. It sent a personal message, a single sentence. Even peace needs armor. Zenth smiled at that. Yes, it does. She turned to her crew. Record everything, but more than images. Record how this feels. The Zellery crew stood in silence. Some had once laughed at Earth. Some had doubted. Now, none did. They saw not a race that hid in fear, but one that waited in patience. One that watched the stars not with hunger, but with care. One of the human ships blinked its lights in a pattern. Talon read it. They're inviting us to board. A tour of the vigil. Then we go, Zenth said. A small shuttle from the Orana flew toward the giant ship. It docked quietly. No guards waited. Light and air and silence. Inside the vigil, Zenth walked with 3 of her officers. They were greeted by a human named Commander Ellis. He had kind eyes and a strong voice. Welcome, he said. I heard about you from Brooks. She speaks wisely, Zenth said. She's one of the best, Ellis replied. He led them through wide halls. They passed rows of control rooms, training centers, and memory walls. On one wall were names. Thousands of names. What are these? One officer asked. Every crew member. Who served on Vigil since it was born, Ellis said. Living or gone. We remember them all. Another wall showed symbols. Old ones, some Zenth had seen before in human history records. Some were new. We carry our past into every battle, Ellis said, even when we hope battle never comes. They reached a window at the ship's core. It looked out into the dark, where the rest of the armada drifted like silent stars. Zenth spoke softly. You built all this, not to be seen, but to be ready. Ellis nodded. Readiness is not noise, it's knowing. When the tour ended, Zenth placed her hand on the wall of the vigil. It felt cold, but steady. Tell your commander, she said, that we see now. We see everything. Back on the Orana, Zenth sent one final message to the Terran Union. We thank you. You shared your secrets, not with pride, but with peace. We will carry this truth with care. Let the stars remember this day, not for a weapon shown, but for trust given. The vigil responded with a soft reply. Trust is the beginning. And with that, the Orana turned away. The Zellery now knew what lay behind the silence. Not fear, not weakness, but something stronger than both, preparedness with a heart. The Orana moved through quiet space. Terran ships no longer followed. No voices came through the comms. But the silence was not empty. It was full of meaning. Captain Elra Zenth stood on the bridge and looked at the black screen where the human fleet had once been. They did not chase us, Talon said. They did not even watch us go. They didn't need to, Zenth replied. Their message was clear. We are seen. We are known. The crew was quiet. Many still thought about what they had witnessed, the ships, the voices, the names, and the feeling that they had looked at something greater than expected. In her quarters, Zenth sat alone. She opened her private log. I once thought humans were wild, she spoke into the recorder. Messy, unfocused, full of noise. But now I see. Their silence holds more power than their noise. Their warships speak without firing. Their history speaks without boasting. She stopped. Then she said, we are taught to respect power. But what we met was something deeper, something older. They do not act like rulers. They act like guardians. The door chimed. It was Talon. Captain, a message has arrived. From Commander Brooks, Zenth nodded. Play it. The screen lit up. Brooks stood on the bridge of the Resolute. Her voice was calm. "Captain Zenth, I speak now not as a soldier, but as a person. We know how others have seen us. We know the galaxy watches and wonders. We do not need to prove ourselves. We only want to be understood." She looked directly into the camera. "I thank you for your honesty, for your choice to listen, not just. Look, many will doubt your report, but I hope they hear your truth." The message ended. Zenth looked down, thinking. She speaks plainly, but her words have weight. Later, she walked to the viewing deck. The stars were soft around her. Talon followed. "I've been thinking," he said. "Their ships are powerful, yes. But what stayed with me most was the art, the names, the way their AI spoke like a poet." "Yes," Zenth said. "They make machines that feel like old warriors or old songs." "Even their dreadnought," Talon added. "Vigil, it didn't show off, it just watched." Like a quiet guardian, Zenth smiled faintly. The humans carry memory in metal. They shape their pain into design. At that moment, another message came. This one was from a ship called Whispers. Light. It was a civilian Terran ship, soft in shape, with no weapons. Aboard was a historian named Rachel Dunn. Her message was simple. "If you wish, I would like to share Terran stories. Not about war, but about what we build, about who we are." Zenth sent a reply. "We would be honored." And so, for 3 days, the Arana and Whispers Light shared signals. Books, art, music. The crew of the Arana listened to human songs. They watched videos of Terran children planting trees on Mars. They saw old people dancing under Earth's sun. They saw beauty. And something shifted. The fear became wonder. The respect became warmth. "They laugh like us," one crew member said. "They cry like us." Another added, "They carry sadness, but also light." On the last night, the crew gathered in the Commons. They watched one last video sent by Rachel. It was simple. A person walking across an empty desert, holding a small light. At the end, the person looked up at the stars and smiled. Talon turned to Zenth. "They walk alone, but they are never truly alone, because they carry their past with them," she replied. Zenth sent one last private message to Brooks. "Commander, I thank you. You gave us more than a meeting. You gave us understanding. I will carry this truth back to the Accord. Not all will listen, but some will." The reply came quickly. "That's all we ask, not belief, just ears." And so the Arana left the solar system, not chased, not warned, but watched by stars that now felt closer. In her final report, Zenth wrote, "They are not what we feared. They are not what we hoped. They are more. And if the galaxy is wise, it will not measure the humans by what they build, but by what they remember." Far behind them, the Terran fleet returned to its watch, silent, still, strong, and waiting for the sea. Next visitor who thought silence meant weakness, the Arana moved slowly across the final edge of Terran space. Behind it, Earth and its quiet defenders faded into the dark. Captain Elra Zenth stood in the command room, arms crossed, watching the stars. She had seen many systems, many ships, but none had changed her thoughts like this one. "We are clear." Of the Terran patrol range, Talon reported. His voice was quiet, almost thoughtful. Zenth gave a small nod. "Good. Begin preparations to send our final report to the Accord." Talon hesitated. "Captain, do you think they will believe us?" "Some will, some won't," Zenth said. "But we tell the truth anyway. That is our duty." The ship's lights dimmed slightly as the system shifted. The stars outside grew thicker. In front of them lay empty space. But they all knew it didn't. feels so empty anymore. On Earth, at the Terran Union Council, Commander Natalie Brooks stood in front of a large screen. The last message from the Arana played softly. To the people of Earth, Zent's voice said, "You welcomed us not with fire, but with stillness. You spoke not with noise, but with meaning. We saw your strength, we saw your care, and we leave with respect." The council members were silent. Brooks stood still. One diplomat finally asked, "Do you think they'll return?" Brooks said, "Yes, but not with questions. With friendship." The room stayed quiet. The silence now felt different. Not fear, not pride. Just understanding. Back on the Arana, the crew gathered for one last look at the recordings. They watched again the human ships moving through the black. They listened to the voices of Terran captains. They played the song sent from the ship named Starless. It was slow and soft. It felt like drifting through warm light. Talon said, "I want to show this to my family." Not the weapons. This, the feeling. Zenth replied, "Yes, that is what they gave us. Not power, but feeling." The CUM station lit up again. A new signal. A simple one, from the Terran Union. To the crew of the Arana, the voice said, "Thank you for listening. When the stars bring us together again, we will be ready." Zenth gave a small smile. They understand the long journey. The next day, the Arana entered neutral space. Waiting there was a diplomatic ship from the Accord. It looked clean and white, shining like a pearl. Aboard was Envoy Myras, a respected figure among many systems. He stepped onto the Arana with curious eyes. "Captain Zenth," he said, "you sent strong words. The Council wants to hear more." "Then listen closely," Zenth said. For hours, she told them what they saw. The first contact. The silence. The voice of the AI called Samson. The names. Of the ships, the hidden fleet, the stories. The music. Envoy Myras sat quietly. At last, he asked, "And your conclusion?" Zenth looked out the window. "We called them primitive. That was our mistake. The Terrans are not loud, they are not boastful, but they are prepared. They build with meaning, they fight with memory." Myras folded his hands. "Do you recommend open contact?" "Yes," she said, "with full respect and with care. They are strong, but fair. They do not seek war, but they will not run from it either." The envoy left. A new report was sent to every major system, and slowly messages began to return. Some praised the humans. Others warned against them. But no one ignored them anymore. Weeks later, something new happened. A new Terran ship, the Aurora Reach, entered a neutral sector. It carried no weapons. It carried books, music, and food. It met with a diplomatic ship from the Zellery. Captain Zenth was not aboard, but Talon was. He stood in front of the humans and said, "We judged you too fast. Now we want to know you better." The Terran leader smiled. That is how peace begins. One honest word at a time. In a shared hall, the two crews ate together. They laughed. They asked questions. A Zellery pilot gave a human child a crystal from her world. A human engineer gave a Zellery elder a painting of the moon. The stars above watched quietly. Back on Earth, Commander Brooks stood on a beach. The sun was setting. Samson spoke from a small device beside her. "They believed us now. They saw us," Brooks said. "That's what mattered. And they will tell others." "Yes," she said. "Let the stars hear. We are not primitive. We are patient. We are prepared." The wind blew gently. The waves touched the shore. Samson said, "A new accord has begun." Brooks nodded. "Yes, and this time we begin not with fire, but with a story. Far beyond, In space full of light and dark, ships moved again. Not in battle, but in peace. Not to hide, but to meet. And somewhere, deep in the quiet, the voice of a Terran warship whispered again. We were waiting, now we speak.